Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jill Hicks. This is JH Consulting, and today's topic is going to be, can my daughter get recruited to a top-ranked gymnastics team? This probably also will apply to many sports. It won't be specific to all the sports because gymnastics is very different, but the basic idea could possibly apply to almost any sport. But in the sport of gymnastics, we have to start with discussing 10-0 start value routines, because that's what's on the college coaches' minds when they're recruiting. And typically, every gymnast, their goal, if you asked them, would be to get to level 10 and have 10-0 start values. So we need to kind of talk about, well, what does that mean? Let's break that down. And you have to go to the rule books. And the rule books are, when you go to a level 10 meet, the judges have a level 10 judges rule book. And when you go to a college meet, the college judges also have the level 10 rule book, but there's an insert of changes. And those changes are made each year, almost always, by the college coaches for various reasons. And sometimes they're made to increase the desire for the college girls to do more difficulty, to make the meet more exciting in college for TV. And sometimes they just reevaluate based on something that might not make sense that used to apply. So there's a lot of reasons, but a lot of parents and athletes, when they're younger, don't realize that there are two different kind of rule books. But the college coaches, when they're recruiting, they know all this, and their sight is set on finding gymnasts who can do 10-0 start value routines and what's called up to the level for the colleges, for Division I schools, and do it easily. So there's all kinds of level 10s that are in the recruiting process. There's very high level 10s that are scoring 39s or 38s consistently. That's a 9.6 average on each event. There's really good level 10s who are not scoring that high. Maybe they're scoring more in the 36s. So a couple points lower, which is a lot in regards to recruiting, but they also get recruited to college. And then you have girls scoring below that who might be really strong on two events who get recruited. And then you have girls who score below the 35s, 36s who are also doing lower Division I, Division II, Division III, because they might have three strong events, or they might be enough for some of those programs to be just fine. So what does it take? Today, we're going to focus on what does it take to get recruited to a top-ranked team. Now, I went to the rankings today, and as you know, the rankings change each year. So one team that could be in the top 20 might not be in the top 20 next year. Maybe they have a lot of injuries, or they have just things that come up. They just have bad meets, or they just don't have a lot of girls who are good competitors. So you can't always go, okay, this team always recruits this way, because things evolve and change. So I'm going to be speaking in generalities, not in some specifics, but it can keep in mind that things can change. So college coaches adjust skills and start values differently for each event. So let's start with each event so that you have some idea what I'm talking about. The biggest one everybody knows, or the most popular, is vault and the Yurchenko layout full. So a lot of girls do Yurchenko layouts in level 9, Yurchenko pikes in level 8, but as they get to level 10, they're twisting a layout. And a layout full used to be kind of a big deal. But now so many girls do it, they changed in college. So in club, the Yurchenko layout full is a 10-0 start value, but in college, it's a 9.95. So as you can imagine, girls that have 10-0 start values, it would take a Yurchenko layout 1.5, really hard to do, but a lot of girls are starting to do it now, which is great. A front pike half, and then various other vaults are also 10 vaults in college. So we have to remember that what might be a 10 vault in level 10 meets at level 10 meets may not be at college. So each event has a few little things like that. So on bars, they just devalued some of the release moves. They also, or a release move. They also changed the dismount requirement to be up to the level. So you may want to talk to your coaches about that. And trying to think what else. Those are the main things that I remember. And then not much was changed on beam, but on beam, they want 2D saltos. That is not required at level 10. So that's the difference there. And then on floor, they are looking for 10 start values, but the top ranked teams will want an E tumbling pass. Now, do they have to have an E to have a 10 start value in college? No, but because the top ranked teams are doing a lot of first passes or an E tumbling pass, those top ranked teams that want to win nationals, they're going to want E tumbling passes. A lot of them also will want E dismounts on bars. So there you go. So therefore, when I looked at the top teams right now, 1 through 25, they're giving for the 2026s official visits right now and making offers. So those first scholarships, many of them to those top ranked teams, especially the top 10, we're going to many of our elites and girls who have dropped back to level 10, maybe for a year or two. They were elite and now they've dropped back to level 10. So here's the big deal, not for all of them, but for many of those elites, getting the 10 start value, doing their execution really well on all those skills, having the E tumbling pass and the E dismount on bars is not all that hard for them because at elite, they had to do even way more. So then they drop back to level 10, get recruited, get a scholarship, go to college. Sometimes they'll even work those skills again, those tougher skills, or they can go out and pretty much nail their routines. And that's the other big thing. They want to find girls who it's not hard for them because they're typically more consistent when they compete. So there you go. What does it take? Let me break it down even a little bit more. So you have to have those different skills that are required at college, not just level 10. Typically, to be recruited to a top 10 team, you'll either have to have been or be an elite gymnast, or many have competed elite at some point in their career. Level 10 standout with a very high all around. I noticed a lot of the girls last year that are getting recruited right now as 2026s had 38s and above in the all around, which, like I said earlier, is a 9.6 average. Now, do girls get recruited to top 10 teams without those two items? Being, 38 plus or an elite gymnast? Yes, it can happen. But usually they've, been either an elite gymnast or a standout at level 10 with those high all-arounds. A lot of college coaches want the all-arounders if they can get them because it's more bang for their buck to have somebody on their team who can score 39s easily and do all 4 events. Okay, it's just, obvious. That would be, for a college coach, kind of ideal. Also, many times you see girls who are recruited to those top, even 20, 25 teams. They have done well at DP Nationals. Maybe they've placed. And again, they've scored well in the all around or on several events. And then lastly, I see a lot of girls who get recruited to the top 25 teams somewhere in there. Also may have participated in the Nastia Cup at some point in time. You don't have to, but it is really helpful. And getting into the Nastia Cup also shows that, you have a pretty strong all-around score and that you can compete well. So those are my tips on if your daughter wants to vie for a position, not only just top 10, but even top 25 teams. Some of those items she would want to shoot for as a goal. So overall, a 10.0 start value or even 10.1 in club in level 10 is great, but you have to have good execution. You have to be consistent, and you have to show, that, you can do it well, really at any time, because they're going to come watch practice, many of those top teams, and they want to see how you train and that this isn't just a one-off, you just had a few good meets, and they're going to come in your gym and they're going to see, can you do this day in and day out, basically, not full routines, but, to that level of skill and that consistency. All right, so some level 10s that have 10.0 start values sometimes don't get recruited to college. So you have to understand that execution part of the denominator is crucial. So clean gymnastics, meaning on vault, distance on your vault, block on your vault off the table, bars, cast a handstands to vertical, sticking your dismount, flight on your release move, and just really beautiful, swing is important. On beam, it's going to come down to consistency. Tons of girls have 10.0 start values. I can tell you that on beam, but they're not always consistent. Leaps and jumps at 180 are really important. And your series, especially those back handspring layouts, you can really see a bent knee, even a curved knee can be a problem. And then on floor, same thing, leaps and jumps 180, landings that are pretty much stuck or just a lunge. And here's the thing. If a double back is a D, that's worth 1/10, but you always take 2 steps on it, you've just devalued that double back. I mean, you'd get the D, but you're going to lose 2/10 of credit. So doing the double back didn't really benefit you necessarily in a quick kind of thinking. But it takes time. It takes time to be confident on your tumbling, land with consistency. But all those things college coaches look at, especially the top 10 schools. They not only look at what skills you're doing, how easily you can do them, how well you execute them, and how consistent you are, but they look at little things like, what are your ankles like? Your feet? What are your feet like? Do you have trouble pointing your toes or looking like your toe is pointed? Do you have trouble locking your knees or looking like your knees are locked? Because those things are almost impossible sometimes to change. How do you lunge? How do you land? I have coaches tell me that, that they look at all those kinds of things because it can really impact the ability for you to have 4 to 5 strong years in college. So keep all those things in mind, and don't panic if your daughter is moving towards from level 9 to level 10, and maybe she's not going to be able to do it until her junior year. It's okay if she can have a really strong year with a lot of those things in place. Believe it or not, a lot of scholarships, like you see the 26s right now being given out, but there'll always be some that'll open up here or there. So then starts that whole dig in and grind the recruiting process, because it's sometimes the athletes that stick with it and stay in it that come out on top with those scholarships at those bigger schools. And I can tell you the 2 events I'm hearing most from college coaches that they need, especially the 10.0 start values, are vault and bars. So if your child is good on those 2 events, when they're level 10 or elite, they're really gonna make a splash in the recruiting process. That's for sure. but everybody's on their own pace. And if you're not on pace to get recruited or get a scholarship at those types of schools, let's say you're going to look more at teams that are ranked 30th to 60th or 63rd. Those are, Division I teams. That's fine. That's going to be the best fit for you. And those teams have some incredible coaches, incredible programs, and you can get a great education and have a great experience. So I think it's really important that every family looks at their situation, looks at their club, looks at their daughter in terms of her trajectory, and be as realistic as you can so that you can enjoy the years leading up to the recruiting process. And then during the recruiting process, it can get a little crazy. We're in it right now with our 26s, and it's never easy. Even for the girls who you look at online who have all these skills and they look like it's so easy and they haven't been injured, it's not easy. It's not easy for anyone. And I always say, stay in your lane, stay positive, don't make comparisons, and do your best. Give your best every single day, but enjoy the journey. I think athletics in itself is an amazing opportunity for all of our kids across the country and worldwide. It's amazing to be a part of a team, no matter how they're ranked. But there is, a hierarchy. There are levels to recruiting. There always will be in our world. There's always going to be people that are better than us and people that are not as good as us. And I think it's okay to accept where you're at and then just work really hard and enjoy the moments when you feel like you're improving and you're doing better, and just push through those times when it's just tough and you just feel like life isn't fair and things come your way that you didn't expect in the recruiting process. We see it all the time. So those are just some of my tips for any of you out there who have the desire to maybe be on a top 10 team or even a top 25 team. Those are some of the marks that you're going to want to try to hit. Now, again, let me repeat, those are generalities that we see, often through the 35 years that I've been doing this. But there's always situations and athletes that surprise me that are really good on one or two events that get picked up by some really big teams. And it's just really exciting. All right. So be tough, be strong, but also have fun. Have fun with the process, have fun with your teammates, and be sure you enjoy every step and just take it one day at a time.